Slate 1. This is a special interview with host Ray Manzarek and Pasha CBS recording artist, drummer Carmine Appice.
We're going to be talking today with a man that I consider to be the premier drummer in rock and roll, Carmine Appice. How you been?
I've been good, and you?
Good, just hanging in there.
Yeah, we are the elder statesmen just hanging out here, you know.
Yeah, we put a few years in, didn't we?
Certainly did.
A lot of rocking and rolling.
Really?
Carmine, your contributions to rock are close to endless, and today you're off into some very exciting new directions. Before we get into that, though, let's talk about the career of Carmine Appice. And it starts in 1967 with a great heavy rock band, Vanilla Fudge. Who were the guys in the band, man?
Well, Vanilla Fudge had myself, had Tim Bogert in it, who played bass and vocals. Mark Stein did keyboards. Back then, keyboards were an organ.
The Big Hammond, right?
The Big Hammond B3, and he did lead vocals and background vocals. And on guitar was Vince Martell, who did lead guitar and rhythm guitar and vocals. And that was the original band, Vanilla Fudge. And I had joined the band. They had another drummer, and I replaced the other drummer. And we used to be called the Pigeons. And just before we changed our name, we played this gig at the Village Theater, which was later the Phil Maurice. The headliners were the Birds, the Seeds, and we would have been the Pigeons. It would have been a great thing. But fortunately, we changed it to the Vanilla Fudge.
Good timing, man. All right, so you guys broke out of New York City then?
Yeah, actually more out of Long Island than anywhere. My manager had a club out there called the Action House.
Right, the Action House.
You probably played there with the
Doors played the Action House, out on the island, man. It was a great place.
Yeah. Then we, changed the name about 10 months later, and it was working.
Great name, too, Vanilla Fudge.
Do you know what it meant? It meant white soul.
Oh, right.
What it meant. I mean,
right.
Some girl gave us the name. I can't remember her name, but she was playing in a club down the road from the Action House, and she said, "You guys are just like White Soul,
like
Vanilla Fudge." And we said, "Wow, that's a cool name, Vanilla Fudge." So
Good
that's
for
why
her.
we did it.
Yeah, and your first hit single was a soul tune. You just keep me hanging on.
Most of our repertoire was soul tunes, or other tunes like Beatles songs that we sort of brought down in tempo and put the soul and the emotion into it.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing about the band and the single is that you guys didn't even have a recording contract at the time that You Keep Me Hanging On is racing up the charts.
It was really unique, actually, because we went in and we did this demo. We did it in a one-take mono. We sang it and did everything at once, and then our producer at the time, Shadow Morton, took the demo tape and made a demo record out of it, and he started bringing it around to stations. At that time, it was an underground station called WOR-FM in New York, which Scott Muni was the innovator of that.
WOR and Scott Muni, sure.
Right. And Shadow was a friend of Scott's, and they played the Keep Me Hanging on the radio. And remember the days of the contests, and now we're going to have three songs. We're going to have Vanilla Fudge, the Beatles, and the Doors. And we used to win these contests, and all these people would call in and win these contests, and we didn't even have a record deal or nothing, So then Shadow figured, well, this is doing so well here. Let's go to Atlantic and get a deal and release a single. So we did it, and 2 weeks later, the single was on the charts.
Right, You Keep Me Hanging On. And let's listen to some of it.
Set me free, what's up, you babe? Get out my life, what's up, you babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on. Your real head don't leave me, you just keep nothing I can do about it.
A great song and a great arrangement. Now, actually, the Fudge was like the first band that I ever heard that would take a song, take a hit single song, and cut the time in half,
Yeah.
and get it down into some real power.
Yeah.
Man, you had that song had so much power on AM radio. It was
Yeah,
like
really.
it
The
had
sound
never
of
been
it
done
too,
before.
because it was mono too. I think helped. But you know what we used to do? We used to like listen to lyrics, and we used to call the lyrics like "Till You Keep Me Hanging On" had hurtin' lyrics. You know, HURTIN apostrophe. You know. And we used to say, well, if they have enough hurtin' lyrics, we can take those lyrics, slow it down, and put the emotion behind the lyrics, you know? And that was the whole concept of the band. We used to basically listen to the lyrics of the song before we listened to anything.
Oh, interesting. Right,
And,
but then you added your own power
And then
to
we
it,
added the
and
power
had
and the
more
arrangement
power,
and
yeah.
all, and putting the mood in a different mood, changing the whole moods of the songs.
And the arrangement, it was unique, man. It was the first time I ever heard it done. And
Yeah.
after that, a lot of people started doing
Yeah,
it, started
yeah.
cutting the time in half,
yeah.
and started using your approach. And as a matter of fact, Jose Feliciano
Yeah,
did Light
yeah.
My Fire
Light My
the same
Fire,
way,
yeah,
man. When
sure.
he covered Light My
I mean,
Fire, he did the same thing.
Rod Stewart did was a Fudge freak. Him and Ronnie Wood used to come and watch us record in 1968. You know, they'd walk in, real timid guys. Can we watch us? You know, and they took, you know, Rod took the concept and utilized it many times throughout his career.
A lot of people did it, man. Can you think of anybody right off the top of your head?
Deep Purple,
Right.
number one.
Right.
Deep Purple, yes, utilized our concepts. They didn't utilize it in doing other people's materials, but they did their own material that way. And in a lot of interviews, they were saying that you know, that we were their heavy influence for them.
Great. Yeah, terrific band, man. And so Atlantic signed you guys and puts out the first album called Vanilla Fudge. And it really took off, didn't it?
It certainly did. We were on Billboard at number 200.
Uh-huh.
And the following week, we went from 200 to 33. And we were in L.A., and we went, wow, what a jump.
Now
you know?
that's a
It
jump,
was
man.
a really ridiculous jump. And I believe at that time, I mean, it ended up, it was on the charts about a year, and we sold 800,000 units of the album, and that was gigantic.
At that time, that was incredible.
You know?
Yeah, that's like triple,
Yeah,
quadruple
yeah.
platinum
I
today.
would imagine that one day I'll end up getting a platinum record for it, you know? You know, little drips and drabs it sells around the world.
Well, how were the tours then? You guys went on a lot of concert tours and
The tours were different.
opened for a lot of people, and as a matter of fact, blew a lot of headliners right off
Yeah.
the stage.
Yeah, The Who, actually. We did a lot of gigs with The Who,
Great.
and we blew them off the stage in their own turf in London.
Ouch.
And that was real nice. I mean, we all enjoyed that.
Yeah,
very
it made you
much.
feel real good.
Yeah.
Then you guys finally become the headliners,
Yeah.
and you introduced to the world of rock a lot of new artists who
Yeah.
became giants, and they got their early exposure opening acts for the Fudge tours. Tell us some of those artists, man.
Well, some of them were Three Dog Night. We took them on the very first tour. Jethro Tull opened up for us. Led Zeppelin, we took on the very first tour when they were green. I mean, I remember me and Timmy telling Robert Plant not to stand still on stage.
Really?
It just goes on and on. And
Wow.
actually, we all did a date together.
Yeah, we sure
We
did,
did Seattle Pop Festival. It was us, Led Zeppelin, and the Doors.
Right.
And
right.
I remember you guys were headlining at that date, and that's the day I picked up the young lady that pulled the old Mudshark trip that Frank Zappa wrote the song
Right,
about.
that hotel on the ocean
The
there,
Edgewater
the
Inn,
Edgewater
where you
Inn up
fish-
there, and you could
you
fish right out
fish
the
out the
window.
window.
And they gave you a little line and stuff, and
Yeah,
throw it out the
yeah.
window, and you caught.
Yeah, and what it was John Bonham and his roadie Richard Cole and one of our roadies were fishing out his window, and me, Tim Bogert, Robert Plant, and John Paul, and Robert's wife were in Robert's room, and we were checking out the view of the boats going by.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, and then in storms, the other guys from the next room with a mud shark, and we had this chick with us who was interested in taking an 8mm film. Mark Stein happened to have an 8mm camera. So then the lights came on, you know, and whammo, next thing you know, they were doing this number with this mud shark and this chick. And you know, the thing that blew my mind was that the guys from Zeppelin had their old ladies with them. That was the thing that killed us, you know.
Speaking of Zeppelin, you had kind of a special relationship with John Bonham, the late great Bonzo man. In fact, you influenced his style and even the drums that he actually
Yeah.
used.
Well, Bonzo, because of the first tour, you know, we got to know them real early in their career, and and he used to tell me how even Jimmy Page used to listen to the Fudge, and Beck, all those people. The Fudge were like in England were like huge, and we had 3 albums out before they came along, and Bonzo used to listen to those 3 albums, and he said, "Man, I copped all your stuff, even my stick twirling and this and that." But he was a young guy coming up, and I've always been Mr. Nice Guy when it comes to teaching kids and helping them along.
Why not, man?
And, yeah, And finally, I remember calling up Ludwig Drum Company and saying, "Well, look, this group's on tour with us. I think they're going to be big." And boy, what an understatement!
Understatement, indeed.
So he got himself a set of drums. He ordered the same exact set of drums that I have. It was the drum kit that started this craze of the big, crazy, oversized, any size drum. Goes.
Hey, the bigger the better, man.
Yeah,
You guys
so,
had power.
So he ordered that, and that's the same drum kit that made his gigantic hit record, Whole Lotta Love. That's the kit that's on there.
Great, man. Yeah, you were his hero, that's for sure, and we all miss him.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe the news that he kicked it. I said, no, not Bonzo. I mean, he's just too much of an ox.
Too strong, right.
Boy,
Nobody
he
could
was-
believe it. Just too strong of a man.
But it goes to show you,
I've been trying to make you love me, but everything I try just takes you further from me. You don't love me, no, so you treat me cruel. But no matter how you hurt me, I'll always be a fool. If you don't want me forever, if you don't need me forever, and if you gotta love me forever, take me for a little while. I've got to make you love me for a little while. Just got to make you want me. I've got to stop it. There should be a law, and no matter how you put me down, I love you more. I feel so helpless. Baby, I need you. And it ain't funny. I need you. 'Cause deep down inside I know you're never gonna love me if you don't want me forever. If you don't need me forever. If you cannot love me forever, take me for a little while. I'm gonna make you love me for a little while. I've got to make you want.
Great song, man. Just great. So that was near the close of the Fudge era, and then you and bassist Tim Bogart had plans to form a supergroup with Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart. What happened?
Well, those were the days. You remember the days that Cream and everyone broke up to?
Yeah.
I think you guys even broke up too, didn't you?
Yeah, for
about
an
that
hour or
time.
two
It
there,
was
right.
like really in vogue to break up and start a supergroup. And Blind Faith and all that. So we decided let's break up and start a group with Jeff because actually John Bonham had told me that me and Timmy were Jeff Beck's favorite rhythm section. So naturally we were very flattered and we said, wow, we know Jeff for years. Let's call him and see if he wants to put a band together because he was our favorite guitarist.
Boy, I'll say.
So we called him and he said, yeah, boy, let's get this band together. And we said, well, what about a vocalist? Can we get Rod? And he goes, sure, we'll bring Rod in it too. So we were going to have this 4-piece band, which was an actual predecessor to Zeppelin at that time. And it would have been great. So what happened was, and Jeff and Rod broke up and Rod didn't want to work with Jeff anymore. Jeff said, well, let's me, you, and Tim do it. And we'll always find a singer, So we were planning to do it. And we went on our last tour of Europe with the Fudge in '69, around September '69. And we used to go hang out with Jeff quite a bit. And I believe it was around November '69, Jeff was supposed to come to New York, and work out the contracts and, the whole bit, whatever's the legalities and the business end of it. And the day before he left, he got in that famous car accident he had that put him back for like 2 years,
right.
and he had a concussion in his head. He had, he was laid up for 6 to 8 weeks, and me and Timmy just kept waiting and waiting. And finally, we just said, look, we can't wait forever for
Right.
Jeff, So we ended
the
up
back
using
burner.
another guitarist and singer.
Yeah, and that became Cactus. then.
Right. Then we started rehearsing and doing the Cactus first album, which had Jim McCarty, guitarist, and Rusty Day, who's vocalist. Jim used to be with Mitch Ryder and Detroit Wheels and is now with the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And Rusty Day was with Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes.
Yeah, that
And
was a hot band, man.
Yeah, they were
Cactus
good,
was really
yeah.
good.
So we did our first album, and we came out and just kicked it,
All right, well, let's hear some of it.
Until you understand the values of the trust you give or take from fellow man. One way or another, you go through life. Sisters and brothers, you come to love. Fathers and mothers, we go through time. One way or another, we're all the same.
But then you had some changes in personnel in Cactus, too, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always seem to run across that problem. I think it came partially because me and Tim was so crazy, of a rhythm section that after 6 months to a year, any guitar player that we play with will go, "Hey, what's going on with you two? Right? Where's the groove?" We were like really, high energy New York kick-ass.
Right.
So we had personnel changes. This time we changed the singer. So we decided to get an English guy named Pete French, who was in Atomic Rooster at the time and had done gigs with us, opening up for us. And we got an unknown guitarist who we found jamming in a club in Rochester, New York one winter. And his name was Werner Fritsching. He was a nice German guy.
Mm-hmm.
We also added a good friend of mine, Dwayne Hitchings, keyboard player.
Uh-huh.
And we knew Dwayne from the days of Buddy Miles Express, and he was in the original Buddy Miles Express.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
Jim McCarty, which is ironic. And so that was the new Cactus band, and we did about 6 to 8 months with that band before me and Tim split to join with Jeff.
You did a lot of touring with Cactus, and
Yeah.
just like with the Fudge, man, you had a lot of stars of the future opening for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Can you tell us some of the bands that opened for you guys?
Yeah, I could tell you Bruce Springsteen opened up for us. Uriah Heep, Black Sabbath.
Wow.
God, there's other
Bruce
ones. I'm
Springsteen
sure.
and Cactus, man.
Yeah,
Great
I mean,
gig.
I'll tell you how the story came about that. I went to see Devo at the Starwood, and I met Todd Rundgren there, and Todd says, "Hey, Carmine, do you know Bruce?" And he had just cut his hair, and I said, "No, I don't know Bruce. Bruce Carmine, Bruce, hi, Bruce," all that stuff. And so Bruce says to me, "Hey, I opened up for you guys when you were in Cactus." I said, "Really?" I said, "What was the name of your band?" And he says, Todd says, same as it is now, Bruce Springsteen. I said, oh, that Bruce, and I was really embarrassed. Very
Whoops.
funny story. Oops, open mouth, insert foot,
Well, I saw Uncle John with bald-headed Sally. She saw me coming, she bought him in there. Oh, baby, yeah, sugar. Whoa, honey, I'm gonna have me someone tonight. Don't call Sally, she's Memphis preaching guys. Everything the sucker man needs, oh, baby. Yeah, sugar. Whoa, honey, I'm gonna have me someone tonight. Oh, Uncle John, his age is 55. But there's two sweet loving kids that both hold alive. Oh, darling, yeah, you baby. Whoa, honey, gonna have me some fun tonight. Come on, come on. I'm gonna have some fun tonight. I'm gonna have some fun tonight. I said everything's alright in the end. I'm gonna have some fun tonight. Yes, I'm gonna have some fun. Have me some fun tonight. Now, let's get a little bit of fun here. Yes. Tell me more.
Okay, so it's 72, and you and Tim Bogart finally connect with the monster guitarist
Yeah,
Jeff Beck,
Jeff Beck.
and a dream is realized. Beck, Bogart, and a piece is born.
Yeah, it was really a strange way that happened, too. His roadie called us up. See, Jeff, a lot of English guys are not very outgoing, They get their roadies to do the things
Well, they're
for them,
reserved
Yeah,
Englishmen.
very reserved, yeah. So Jeff had his roadie call us and tell us that he wanted us to help him play on this song at the studio, Electric Ladyland. We went down there, and he had broken up his band at the time, who had Cozy Powell in it and Bobby Tench, and the second Jeff Beck group it was. And so we said, sure. We went down and we played on this thing, and he was knocked out. And the funny thing, just to flash back for a minute, in the Fudge days, we did a Coca-Cola commercial that Vinnie Martell could not make, our guitarist, and Jeff sat in for him.
Ah,
And that's when we first played with him, and that's what turned us on to, like, wow, this is the guitarist we want to play with.
really? What a monster,
Yeah,
man.
so
He's
we sort of
incredible.
did the same thing, returned the favor this time, and played on this stuff he was putting together. And then he had a tour lined up. So the first tour was called the Jeff Beck Group, and me and Timmy just showed up. Second tour was called the Jeff Beck Group, featuring the three of us. And then in between that tour and the album tour, we had done the album, and that's when we changed the name to BBA, or Beck, Bogan, and Appice.
Great band, man, a great guitarist.
I was wrong from the start. This cheater has torn us apart. Looking, no one like you. This love that you took and control, don't know what to do. Yeah, lady, now I'm begging you, please.
An incredible power trio, man. One of the great power trios of all time. What was it like working with Jeff Beck?
And it was pretty amazing because all that guitar playing we've been listening to for the years that we listened to him, there it was, right next to me.
Right,
know,
and you were
just
riding
cranking
him, man.
it, you know,
Right.
and we were cranking along with it. It was a
Supporting the
great
whole thing.
experience, and the best thing about it was all spontaneous.
Hmm.
We had the outline and the skeletons for the songs, but within that skeleton was all jamming in those days.
So it was a lot of improvisation.
Yeah, it was. We never knew what we were going to do, until we hit the stage.
Well, you did a live album in Japan.
Yeah,
Live
yeah.
in Japan at Budokan.
Budokan.
Budokan, and that's become a collector's item. It was never released in the States.
No.
Why
Anywhere.
doesn't Epic put it out, man?
Well, I don't know. It's really one of those politics situations where, it just didn't come out. I know in Japan it's still in the top 100 of all the all-time great albums, and it wasn't released anywhere else but
Well,
Japan.
I've heard that the record is selling for like $40 here in the States
yeah.
when you can find it.
I've had fan mail, written to me and saying, hey, why don't you release this album? We're paying between $30 and $40 for this album. And I said, God, that's ridiculous.
Really, yeah, and one of the few opportunities to hear Beck, Bogart, and Appice
really.
live in Japan, man. I
Really.
want to hear it.
Walk me out in the morning dew, honey. Please walk me out in the morning dew. I walk you out in the morning dew. I'm sorry, sorry. I walk you out, baby, in the morning dew. Ooh, yeah. You didn't hear no young man cry. You didn't hear no young man cry. Hey, baby.
In '74, then I guess the band split up. Everyone went their separate ways, and you formed what many people consider to be the last great supergroup of the '70s, KGB,
Yeah.
with Ray Kennedy on vocals, Barry Goldberg on keyboards, Rick Gretsch on bass, and another incredible guitarist, the late Mike Bloomfield.
Yeah.
What a band, man.
When we first got together, it was really good energy, real good energy. That came about by actually Ray, Mike, and Barry were getting together on the West Coast, and I was on the East Coast with. Actually, I was running my drum studio back then in between bands, and I had been to England. I met Rick Gretsch, and Rick was looking for something to do, and he came to New York, and we were hanging around, jamming a little bit, playing, and when we got a call from my old lawyer saying that there was this band on the West Coast that needed a rhythm section, and they were looking for people of our stature, me and Rick, so we came out to the West Coast and checked it out. And it was the first time I've ever been involved in like what I call that L.A. laid back, feel of music, because being a New Yorker and playing and
Power.
living in New York, everything was high energy power.
Energy.
So I figured, well, let me try my finger in this pie for a minute, to see if I can get into playing real good songs and just getting together, writing and playing good songs. And that's what KGB really was an introduction to me, to get into that vein of it.
Yeah, welcome to L.A.
Right. And the band did 13 gigs in its whole life and 2 albums.
Whoa.
And it's the days of, when you sign giant record deals and you sit around L.A. and, just showed your faces at all the parties.
Right. Well, after that, then came the great Rod Stewart Band.
Yeah.
And something that probably a lot of people don't know, you were actually the co-writer of Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing,
Yeah.
man. That's a great song. And I mean, talk about a
thank you,
hit.
yeah.
That's
That
a
was
hit
The hit.
record.
That was, from what I understand, the biggest selling single to date at that time that Warner Brothers Records ever had, and Rod Stewart, obviously.
Uh-huh. Amazing.
And,
Amazing.
So I was with him like 2 years when we wrote that song. I joined him in '76, and I heard he went through about 35 drummers he auditioned.
Whew.
And then I heard about it, and I said, well, let me call them up and see what they're doing. So I knew Rod, and I knew the road manager and the manager for years, so it wasn't a thing where I even auditioned. He wanted me to go down and check the band out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was really into, after my KGB thing, I got back into my jazz rock trip, you know. And it was either join something happening or, form something of my own. And so I went down and played with the Rod Stewart Band, which was the original Rod Stewart Band at the time. And I knew Phil Chen, the bass player. It was the days of Blow by Blow. When he played with Jeff. I was in England at the time and met him a bunch of times. And I went down to Rod Stewart's house, and they were playing in the pool house, and it was like Rod Stewart meets Billy Cobham, and it was pretty crazy because, I was doing all these crazy drum fills and all this, crazy jazz rock things against his stone rock things, So Rod came up and said, hey, look, I know you got your fans and, you have your following, and I can guarantee you doing a solo every night on the stage. And he says, all I want you to do is play like you did in Cactus. Just lay it down for me.
Yeah, keep it
And I
solid,
said, fine.
man. Keep it
And
solid.
I said, fine. So,
Well, he was surprised. Not only did he get a great drummer, but he got a great songwriter, too, man.
I was surprised, too, actually.
Wow.
The way Sexy came out. It started out in my little music room in my house, just messing around on the keyboard with chords. And I came up with the verse, and I came up with the bridge and the melody line. And then I had my writing partner, Dwayne Hitchings, make it sound a little better, to present it to Rod and all that. So that's how that came about. And boy, I never dreamed it'd go to #1 in 10 countries.
Fantastic song. So on Rod's album, Footloose and Fancy Free, you and old Vanilla Fudge buddy Mark Stein redid, and this is interesting, man, you redid You Keep Me Hanging On.
Yeah.
And Rod sang virtually the same arrangement, 10 years later,
10 years
that the
later.
Vanilla Fudge did. That
was
must have been a lot of fun.
It was the type of thing. When I got with Rod, we were talking about the classics, and he said, God, that Fudge song, You Keep Me Hanging On, was so great. I wish I would have done it. And I said, well, why don't you do it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I mean, I know the arrangement. I know, all the background parts and the whole thing. And we started doing it, and we did it live first, actually, before we recorded it. We did it for like one European tour and an Australian tour, and the people just used to really freak out over it, still. Like my cymbal?
Really?
And then when we actually got down to recording it, Rod always left me in charge of picking the people to sing the backgrounds. It was I did most of the backgrounds in the band. And I said, well, look, let me get Mark Stein to come in and sing it. And boy, it'd be like the original Fudge almost.
Really?
Really?
Who knows
that's
the
what we did.
arrangements better? Great,
it was so
man.
weird playing the same drum part and singing the same background part 10 years down the line, with a different singer now,
A good song is a good song,
That's
though,
true.
man. A
It
good
just goes on
arrangement is
forever.
always forever, really.
Yep.
And now, then, what about the infamous drum clinic?
Well, it was all Ludwig's idea. I've been with Ludwig since '68, and then around 1970, they started asking me. 69, 70, they started asking me if I want to do drum clinics. And I was a big pop star then. Drum clinic, come on, get lost. What drum clinic, And then around, it must have been towards the end of 1970 when I was in Cactus, and we only worked 4 or 5 nights a week. Those were the days when you'd go out and do 4 or 5 nights a week, then go back home.
Right.
There weren't the days of the big tours like they have now. And I always had, 2 or 3 days a week that I, didn't do anything, other than relax. And I'm the type of person where I don't like to relax too much, So I decided to try it, and I tried it. And the first one I did was in '71. And then I started doing more and more. And at that time, I was the only rock drummer doing it. And I wrote a drum book as well, which was called Realistic Rock. And between the drum book and the drum clinics, I started building this new market. It was a whole virgin market, which was the drum clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few years ago, we started getting a little more into it. And Rod always told me, well, look, when you go do these drum clinics, why don't you try and make an event out of it, like we do when we come into a town with a concert. And my manager was the same sort of philosophy. So we started doing drum clinics for UNICEF and making them bigger and making them production. And now I've developed a drum clinic into a whole market where now there's other rock drummers are going out there to try and do drum clinics.
Well, I think it's great, man. The young guys got to learn how
and
to
you
play.
teach
Man.
Yeah, I mean, you keep close contact with your audience, and you're teaching everybody, and it's a good feeling. It's got to be good for your karma.
Really, man. Really, you got to pass on the knowledge.
You got to pass on the knowledge. That's
because
exactly
those new guys
right.
coming up, they always need help, and drum clinics are perfect.
I learned from Joe Morello, the great old Joe Morello, Dave Brubeck Quartet, and all that. He showed me how to do a drum clinic.
Great. May 23rd, 1981. Something pretty interesting happened to you, didn't it? Right here in the city of L.A., man. What was it?
Well, we had a Carmine Appice drum-off, which was the original concept for the day, which included 8 named drummers from 8 big rock groups, and the special guest was Buddy Rich. And it was also Carmine Appice Day in Los Angeles, which
Carmine Appice Day
in
L.A.
Because I was over in the Orient with Rod, and I was in Bangkok, Thailand, the day before.
Whoa.
And I had to fly for all night to get here. And then when I did get here, they had the drum battle and everything. And we had 10,000 people there, which we didn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up taking 4s and with Buddy Rich right next to me.
Ooh.
I mean, and I was like jet lagged as hell, and I was out of it. And I was saying, oh man, I got to sit down and play drum battle with Buddy Rich.
The king.
It wasn't really a battle; it was just taking 4s.
Right.
But then we had the other 7 or 8 guys on the stage as well, and it turned out to be a real chaotic affair. But it was wonderful. I couldn't believe that it came out so well.
Well, it's a real compliment to you, man. Carmine Appice Day in the city of Los Angeles.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, congratulations,
thank you.
man.
I mean, I've got the proclamation, and it was a good feeling. My mother's real proud. My father's real proud because he's got the same name.
That's great. You're
Rock and roll
junior,
family.
so you're
I'm a junior.
CA junior. Me too,
Yeah,
man.
you're junior too,
Raymond
yeah.
Daniel Manzarek Jr.
Did they ever call you Junior?
No, they never
They
did.
never called me Junior either.
No,
They called my father Charlie. That's his middle name.
I was Raymond, and my mother called my father Ray.
Ray. So
So
now
whenever I
you're
heard
Ray.
the name Ray, I didn't listen. It's not talking to me. But Raymond, yes, Mom.
Raymond.
Exactly.
Sure.
A little later on down the road, you and Cactus buddy Dwayne Hitchings co-wrote The Young Turks for Rod Stewart, didn't you?
Yeah, that was very recent. Actually, September. We recorded that, September 1st. And it's doing wonderful. I mean, I believe it's in the top 10 now. And Dwayne has sort of been a good friend and writer friend and partner and all that for a long time now.
So you're not only a drummer now, you're a writer too.
Yeah.
Writer, singer, arranger, drummer, and today you got a brand new album on Pasha CBS
real
Records
excited.
titled Carmine Appice.
Yeah.
Tell us something about the album, man.
Well, the album has been a long time in the brewing, as you know, but you're going for a solo album now too. I understand.
Right. I'm involved in putting the Ray Manzarek solo album together, and it's been a long time. What I want to do is, naturally, this is not going to be a drum album. This is going to be a keyboard album.
Bring the keyboards out
I'm going to
front.
bring the keyboards up front. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some classical pieces that I've always sort of played over the last 5-8 years and fooled around with at home. And these are classical songs, and what I'm going to do is take it and rock them up, man. Give them some
Rockify 'em.
power. Yeah, exactly. Rocking the classics. And I want to use the synthesizers to approximate the sounds
orchestral
of the
sounds,
symphony orchestra, right?
Well, look, I play timpani and gongs and
That's what we're going to have on it,
all
man.
kinds
It's
of
going to be
stuff.
okay. That'll be great, man. Because
I'll be there. I mean,
definitely got some part for the timps and
Great.
gong. I need a big gong.
I got a
as matter of fact,
52-inch
man.
biggie.
Oh, that's exactly
I
what
got
I
a
need.
big
right.
gong, and I got everything. it takes to make a classical. Vanilla Fudge did something like that with Moonlight Sonata.
Uh-huh.
On the second Fudge album, we
Right,
rockified
right,
Moonlight
right.
Sonata.
Well, that's
so-
exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take
Cool.
some classical pieces, some Eric Satie and
Great.
Carl Orff and a couple of other people, and put the rock and roll pulse
Great.
to it.
That
yeah.
sounds really interesting. The concept I've always had in mind is to do like with Gene Krupa, who was one of my other heroes. What he did to the 40s, like he brought what we call bring the drums up front and
Yeah.
use the drums as your focal point. And again, it was done in 1961 in the 60s with Sandy Nelson and
Right?
and Wipeout. I mean, it probably must be the most successful drum-oriented song in the world.
Right.
And that's the concept, is to bring the drums up front, to do a record where the drums conduct the music rather than just play a background sort of part.
Yeah, well, I don't want to overly compliment you, but the drummer's got to be able to keep that drum up front, man.
Yeah,
I mean, not
yeah.
just anybody can do it, you
Yeah.
know, and that's a real compliment to
Well,
your
thank you.
abilities,
It's,
that you can control that whole thing and keep the
I've
drums
had
up
enough
front.
practice, I tell you.
Well, that's what it's all about, man. You got to practice, otherwise
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to
practicing is real important.
do it. Yeah, well, let's hear something from the new album.
Okay.
Carmine Appice on CBS Pasha Records.
See the light and the thunder will follow. Come the night, you won't think of tomorrow. The wealthy fun, the hungry run. Weigh your chances, 1 in a million.
All right, man. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Sorry about laughing, but
Well, you can laugh.
I can laugh
It's
because
your own record, man.
it's been so long putting this thing together, and
Feels
finally,
good to have it done, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it really does. I mean, and even getting ready to get it out is even more exciting than actually doing it. You know,
Mhm.
it was. I did it with Richie Podler, who did all of Sandy Nelson's hit drum singles. So on the album, there are 3 drum singles, as what we call
All right.
drum singles.
All right. Well, what's the future then? What does the future hold for the Carmine Appice dream?
Well, the near future holds going out, supporting the album with
Great.
drum clinics, drum battles,
Mhm.
and things like that. And then after that, I'm going to get involved with a project with Ted Nugent,
Mm-hmm.
where we're going to do a new Ted Nugent album. I'm going to help co-produce and help write material and things. That'll be done in release for probably May release. And after that, we're doing a Japanese tour with myself, Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick, and Eric Carmen, Dwayne Hitchings, and Rick Derringer. We're going over to do a 5-date, 10-day tour in Japan.
That sounds exciting.
And then we'll probably come back and do some dates in America with the same band. And after that comes a direct-to-disc album with Buddy Rich.
All right.
which we're working
Direct to
on.
disc, you and Buddy
Direct-to-disc.
Rich. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be
that's going to be
incredible.
an interesting project. And that takes me up to about April. Other than, hopefully getting the album out and making it a successful entity.
Well, I think it's going to be a very successful album, man. It's
I
a
hope so.
strong album.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very much.
we're all with you. We're all with you all the way, man, and best wishes for the future.
Thank you very much. And I hope that we can, just keep it going, keep them drums out front and keep it doing, because
rocking.
somebody's got to do it.
You got to keep rocking and
Gotta
rolling,
keep
man.
rocking.
Well, thank you, Carmine Appice. It's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you, Ray. It's good to sit around and talk to a friend. Anyway.
All right, buddy.
Good.
Great. Well, I'm going to take you up on that gong thing.
Hey, no problem. If you need any,
About the boys in the sleazy back streets, about the girls with the dirty minds. What goes on in those seated dance halls? About being a lady getting paid for bad times. About the pimps that spend your money. About the dirty backside of life. About the diseases it ain't funny. Well, I heard that it ain't no lie. What goes on in the streets of downtown? It's enough to turn your head. Got the boys taking cars and running through the lights as they turn red. About the streets where deadlines waiting for the girl who's out too late at night. About the killer that they say is hiding, waiting for another chance to